During the infamous housing crash, there was a thing called the Protecting Tenants Under Foreclosure Act. If you were in a property and you were renting it, you were able to stay in that property. If you were a homeowner and you lost a property, you were allowed to rent that property and be able to stay there, ironically, for about 2 or 3 years, so that you could get yourself together. So if you were one of the 8,000 homes, you probably had me come to the property and negotiate a rent with you and manage the property while you were there. Now, in a lot of instances, these tenants and sometimes these homeowners, after a year or two, were able to gather their finances and they were able to want to purchase the property. That sounds logical. So after about a few hundred offers would always be denied, I'm on a conference call and I ask and I inquire, why are we not allowing these people to buy their homes that they've been living in? Like, why are we doing that? You want to know what I was told? By Fannie Mae. I was told that they have direct instructions to not do that. And so do you want to know what happened sometime later? They were pooling these properties in pool sales, and you had to have between $10 and $50 million in escrow in order to bid on a house that somebody was living in that was $60,000, even though that family were offering $60,000 cash to buy their home. But who would have that type of money, Summer? Who would have that type of money? Because it ain't nobody up here in the A. Oh, I'll tell you who had it, because I represented them. China, South Africa, Australia, hedge funds from outside entities. I had no idea that America was for sale. And the Obama administration totally is the one that put it on the market. So ask yourself, did you know that about 30% of real estate is owned by outside entities, these hedge funds? The reason why you can't find a house is because they're coming in with 30, 40, 50,000 over asking price with cash, and you can't find a house? You never ask yourself, why did the housing market, why did a basic dusty ass trap house go from 100,000 to 300,000 overnight? You think that was an accident? So basically, you want people to stay in debt and you want them to pay these exorbitant prices. This was all by design, y'all. By design.
New York City, there are buildings, high-end buildings that they build, right? Like where the apartments go for $5 million, $10 million, $20 million, $50 million, right? They're 80% empty. Do you know why they're 80% empty? And why there's so much real estate in this country with high-end that's totally empty? Because people from China, Russia, South America who are doing nefarious stuff, they'll buy an apartment, they'll buy a flat in London for $140 million. You go, what, $140 million? Who would ever live there? They don't live there. They don't rent it either, because then they can't call it as an asset.
Investment.
Now what you do is this. You take that $140 million flat and you borrow against it. You borrow against it. So now you take that money and you put it in the stock market, and that's how you wash your money, baby.
Whoa.
Yes.
This morning, U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials suspending operations at a border crossing in Lukeville, Arizona on Monday to free agents to deal with increased levels of migrant encounters, transporting some of those migrants to other parts of the border for expedited removal. This coming after Texas officials temporarily suspended vehicle operations at one crossing in Eagle Pass last week. Volunteers across the country opening doors despite the increased numbers as winter approaches.
The growing number of migrants arriving here in Chicago has raised lots of questions among city leaders about the growing costs.
Tens of millions of dollars flowing to one out-of-state company. And now, after months of asking questions, NBC5 Investigates finally has the receipts.
How we manage our operations.
Foster care system is the most strategic place.
How would you describe what that moment is like when they tell you that they have to take your children away?
Time feels frozen in that moment. Everything's completely different than what it was before.
This is Alexis. 6 years ago, her children were removed from her home and placed with the other 400,000 children in the U.S. foster care system.
I could see why someone would collect kids. I don't know. They're really cool, and I enjoy them. I love being a mom. So Anyways, so how much do foster parents get paid? Are you ready for this? We get paid from the state of South Dakota $17 a day per child, which ends up being about $500 and some a month. So that might seem like a lot of money to some people, and it might seem like not that much for other people. It just depends on where you're at financially and how much you spend on your child.